name is KKeating, and today I will be discussing the genetic modification of animals for the medical benefit of humans. So, what is the end goal for medical researchers? To cure more diseases, to make new and improved medicines, and to find new ways to benefit humans however they can. But how far are scientists willing to go in order to benefit the medical field? This assignment stimulus packet had the main theme of technology. One of the sources in particular, Rhino Farm, examined the relationship between human technology and animals, and more specifically, using animals and new technology to develop new medicines. This source examines the exploitation of animals by humans specifically for the medical field and recognizes the ethical controversies present in doing so, which led to my eventual question. Do the medical benefits of the genetic modification of animals for human medical advancements outweigh the ethical controversies present? Through my research, I discovered that the genetic modification of animals is used in drug production, xenotransplantation, and plasma-derived medicines, and has many medical and economic benefits. However, the ethics behind it remain questionable. I also found that this dilemma is further complicated when looking into the near and far future of biotechnology, which hold the development of more drugs, potential disease elimination, and tissue growth. From a medical standpoint, genetic engineering is being used to produce drugs in the milk of cows, organs in pigs that are suitable for xenotransplantation, and vaccines and medicines in cow plasma. In a 2002 report by the Age Australian newspaper, Alan Trounston, the director of the Monash Institute of Reproduction and Development, speaks on the uses of transgenic animals at their facility. He says that by inserting human genes into cows, they can produce milk with human serum albumin or hepatitis A, malaria, and HIV vaccines. These produced proteins and vaccines are then extracted from the milk and packaged to be turned into medicines. For years, scientists have been struggling with organ rejection in the process of xenotransplantation, or transplant from a non-human body into a human. This is due to the human body recognizing a foreign body and choking its blood supply. In a 1998 article from Popular Science magazine, Gunjan Sinha discusses the use of biotechnology and gene manipulation in pigs to resolve this problem. The found solution is to genetically alter the pigs to remove this issue from the transplant process, so the organs would be able to be successfully transplanted without rejection. Gene manipulation is also being used for the creation of drugs and vaccines from cow plasma. This process is discussed in a 2016 Verge article, when Alessandra Potenza discusses the uses of transgenic cows plasma with Eddie Sullivan, SAB Biotherapeutics biotech company's president and CEO. Sullivan claims that the cows are able to be injected with a virus, let's say Ebola. Then their body automatically creates an immune response that produces entirely human antibodies. Once enough have been created against the virus, they are then extracted from the plasma that is taken out of the cow. Although there are both medical and economic benefits gained from transgenic animals, many people hold concerns with ethics regarding animal welfare and exploitation. In terms of medical justification, the cows used to provide plasma for cures and vaccines are incredibly important. Potenza claims that for every 4 liters of plasma each person produces, between 30 and 60 liters of plasma are produced by just one cow. Each cow, just one, can serve hundreds of patients. In addition, Sinha estimates that between 2,000 and 3,000 cows could meet the entire demand at this time at a reasonable cost and without risk of transmitting blood-derived diseases. Using transgenic animals is also economically justified, as the animals are able to be continually produced and pumped out drugs at a very low cost, which is much easier, cheaper, and more efficient than prior methods. The use of transgenic animals overall produces more drugs and at a cheaper price. While there are many justifications for using transgenic animals, there are also many ethical concerns. Andrew Perzigian, a contributor to the Animal Legal and Historical Web Center, explores the ethics of genetic engineering in a 2005 essay. He believes that there are many animals that are failures resulting from this process, which is a major animal welfare concern, and that this process is also done for incredibly exploitative practices. In addition, he recognizes that there is lots of risk involved with biotechnology, and the animals are being exposed to this risk at the demands of us humans. This ethical dilemma is further complicated when looking into the future of biotechnology and the potential genetic engineering holds. In the future, more cures for diseases can be produced. The availability of drugs and medicines will be greatly increased for people who can otherwise not afford it. Genes holding disease can be eliminated as a whole, and further medical research can be done, all because of genetic engineering and biotechnology. In examining the genetic engineering of animals, it is seen that it has led to many medical leaps forward, including the production of drugs and treatments for sickness and disease, as well as pig organs capable of avoiding body rejection. While these advancements come with ethical questioning regarding animal welfare, the economic and medical advancements, as well as the future possibilities, provide an end for the means. With the future possibilities of genetic engineering in mind, as well as the medical and economic justifications already present, it becomes very hard to resist biotechnology and the potential it holds, regardless of the ethical concerns present. This is my works cited. Thank you.
Good job. Kylie, what evidence did you gather that you didn't use, and why did you choose not to use it?
I actually ended up gathering a decent amount of evidence surrounding the use of transgenic mice, as well as the uses of like eggs and milk provided by chickens and goats. And through my research, I realized that I had the most evidence from when I used pig organs in xenotransplantation and cow plasma and cow milk. However, I did gather a wide variety of the uses of different transgenic animals. So I did, at a certain point in time, I had a lot of sources talking about the eggs that genetically modified chickens produce, as well as goat milk. So I had a lot of evidence surrounding that, and I didn't end up using that evidence because I definitely realized that I had to narrow down my research process a little bit more. And then I also had a lot of evidence surrounding specific ethics regarding animal welfare. So I had a lot of sources that would look at particularly like one type of genetic engineering of animals and kind of go deep into the ethics behind that specific one. But I realized when I cut that perspective out of my essay, I really couldn't end up using that in my essay because it was almost too specific for what I ended up using my ethics kind of perspective on, because I ended up just including that counter-argument into one of my perspectives instead of having it as its whole other section. So I ended up having to cut out some of the more specific, super magnified ethics evidence.
And what additional questions emerged from your research, and why are those questions important?
Well, I was particularly interested by the ethics side of this argument, so a lot of questions emerged in my head, like how do they treat the animals at these medical research facilities, because a lot of people were concerned with animal welfare and kind of how the animals are exploited throughout this process. So it really kind of intrigued me to see how the animals may be treated at these research facilities, because they're obviously incredibly useful. So are they just treated like kind of a drug source, or are they also treated like animals? Because, I mean, these processes, producing like the drugs and the milk, that's a pretty natural process for the animals, so it doesn't really harm them, besides, obviously, like the pig organs. So it kind of like intrigued me to see how they might treat these animals at these facilities, and then that was definitely a big question that emerged. Also, I was curious to see how many trials they'd actually used on humans with these advancements, because a lot of this process has been slowed due to the ethical controversies. So I was kind of curious to see, have they done trials on humans yet? How often have they been able to use these drugs and vaccines on humans? Really, what has the trial process been so far? And I was able to find a little bit of evidence behind that, but not too much. But that's definitely a question I still have. How will the ethical dilemma kind of slow this process, and when will these advancements really start being integrated into the medical community?
Nice. Thank you.